All right, everybody. So today's topic of conversation is a topic that we've discussed before, and that is companies being sued. And we touched on it a couple weeks back where Epic actually was being sued by Google/Android because of some of the policies. Well, anyways, today is actually Sony, and Sony is facing a $7.9 billion class action lawsuit over PlayStation Store prices. Class action lawsuit, by the way, you guys, if you did not know, is not another company suing them. That is the people suing Sony. Sony is up against a $7.9 billion class action lawsuit represented by 9 million players over its PlayStation Store practices. And I've touched a little bit on this. And I knew that this was coming. It was only a matter of time before this made the light of day in whatever fashion, form, or whatever you want to call it. So it says right here, Sony is facing a $7.9 billion class action lawsuit over alleged overcharging on its PlayStation Store for digital games sold. Like I said, this is digital games. It is not physical format. This lawsuit is part of a broader debate on digital storefronts and the commissioning fees charged by companies like Sony and Apple. We already talked briefly in the other video, and as we go down, we'll discuss more into that. Despite Sony's efforts to have the case thrown out, the lawsuit has been allowed to move forward and could potentially cost Sony billions. And mind you, Sony's not backing down from this. Sony is facing $7.9 billion class action lawsuit over its store. Lawyers are hoping that PlayStation's massive lawsuit for allegedly overcharging customers would be dropped. But the case has been allowed to move forward. The initial lawsuit stems from PlayStation's terms and conditions for developers and publishers that sell games on the digital storefront, with Sony's 30% commissioning fees for games sold on the PlayStation Store. It is alleged that the company ends up charging consumers too much for digital titles. And by the way, you guys, 30% commissioning fees is basically, like, hands down, it's the industry standard when it comes to any digital storefront. So whether you're with Steam, whether you're with Apple, whether you're with Android or Sony for the PlayStation storefront, it's going to be 30. There was only one that I've been able to find, and that is the Epic Game Store. And Epic Game Store only charges, I believe it's like 12 or 15%, which is significantly less than 30. The battle against this sort of behavior on digital storefronts isn't new, as Apple recently was faced with a lawsuit thanks to its 30% cut on the Apple Store and on the App Store. In fact, it was this main debate within Epic's lawsuit against Apple and Google, which is still ongoing in the case of Epic and Google. This time, however, it's not the game publishers that are suing, it's the consumers. Like I said, class action lawsuit is a lawsuit brought forward by consumers. After more than years, it appears that as though this lawsuit would continue, it will cost Sony billions of dollars potentially. Reuters is reporting that the class action lawsuit filed against Sony Interactive Entertainment will be allowed to move forward by the London Tribunal. Mind you, this is a London Tribunal. It's not American. So at the end of the day, I'm not sure how this might impact us here in the States. Because I know years and years and years ago, there was a class action lawsuit that EA held a monopoly when it came to NFL games, right? And I was actually part of that. And I remember that the check came in. And mind you, I used to play Madden every year religiously. And I mean religiously. To the point where it would consume my life for many years. And I remember being part of this class action lawsuit for, EA holding that monopoly on NFL games. I know that took place here in America. And mind you, I actually received said check in the mail, and I didn't even apply for the class action lawsuit. And also, that's the other thing you guys got to look into. If this does go through and does become a thing, A lot of times there is an actual website that the company or the the partner group for the law firm will set up where you can actually input your information to get the money from the lawsuit, if that makes any amount of sense. Um, I did not even put my information in, and somehow they were like, "This son of a bitch plays Madden." And I remember the check came in for, I think it was like $68 or $69, and I took said check, deposited in into my account, and I got this check end of August, middle of August, and guess what that comes out during that time? Madden. So the class action lawsuit money I got for the Madden franchise actually went towards buying the new Madden that year. Like I said, it's really making me wonder how this is going to affect everything stateside here, because I see it's a London tribunal. It's not like it's going to before a judge here in America. It is alleged that Sony is abusing its dominant position by requiring the software to be bought and sold only on its online marketplace. Because of Sony's 30% commission on all PlayStation Store sales, it is argued that consumers are being forced to pay a higher price for entertainment that they should otherwise. I don't like how that ends. So, I've mentioned it before, and I mentioned it during the Red Dead Redemption, where I was talking about the port of the Red Dead Redemption onto the Sony store. In order to get any kind of digital downloads for Sony, that is, the only way you can do it is through their store. It's not like Microsoft, or it's not like Nintendo, where you can go. I could drive over to GameStop right now, buy a code, tell them I want, a code for the new Pokemon game, and they'll sell me a digital code for said Pokemon game, and not bat an eye. Where Sony does not allow that whatsoever. In order to do anything when it comes to Sony, especially with their PlayStation Store, you have to buy it directly from them. You can't just go and get a code from GameStop, Walmart, Target, wherever you live, you can get codes from. You can't do that. You actually have to buy it from them. While the lawsuit has been allowed to continue, it does so without people who made purchases on the PlayStation Store since the case was initially filed in 2022. Again, Sony lawyers have tried to get the case thrown out entirely, claiming that the flawed from the start to finish has been to no avail. However, the case has been allowed to continue, which I don't think it's to no avail. I think, and also I don't think it's flawed at all. I think definitely it's a monopoly, because they're not allowing you to have any kind of open market when it comes to buying the digital format. Because like I said, any other platform, like, it allows you to buy the digital code to go and get said game, where Sony doesn't allow it. It should be noted that courts eventually ruled in the favor of Apple in the Fortnite lawsuit. Of course, this isn't an apples to apples example. It's another company filing a lawsuit in another country entirely. Like I said, I'm not sure how this is going to affect us here in America, because it is a London tribunal, where the Apple Fortnite lawsuit was here in America. That said, the argument of PlayStation acting as sort of a monopolistic entity, woo, that's a 50-cent word, in the gaming space is similar to Epic's claim against Apple. See, the Apple's claim, I agree to disagree with, because I don't agree with this right here, because granted, it does give... Apple was charging, upselling when it comes to V-Bucks, and buying stuff on the Apple Store, where this is the PlayStation Store. This is their complete digital storefront that they're charging a ton of money for. So when it comes down to it, I don't agree with that saying, if that makes any amount of sense. Where this is an in-game purchase, this is all the games and in games. This is significantly larger than Epic's lawsuit against Apple. Ironically, Sony objected to Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition for allegedly being an anti-consumer. Much of the debate concerned one of the Xbox's biggest new franchises, Call of Duty. Sony has historically this. See, this is what I don't think. It's dumb they say it's anti-consumer when in fact it isn't. It's because Sony wasn't willing to nut up or shut up, because I guess there is like a 20, it was something stupid. It was like 25% of people that own a PlayStation's the PlayStation's sole purpose is to play Call of Duty. And if it's that big of a fucking issue for you, just go buy Activision. And guess what? Microsoft ain't going to fight you. Anyways, Sony has historically struck exclusivity deals with popular shooter series, and the recent acquisition would look to put an end to that, which is 100% true. It does put an end to them doing that. And like I said, it was a stupid number of individuals like that. Sony says that the sole reason why they turn on their PlayStation was to play Call of Duty. I really want to see how this plays out, because this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out, considering the fact that basically Epic wasn't able to really shut down Apple. But I think at the same token, I think Apple would be able to outspend Epic. So that's why Epic kind of was just like, all right, we'll let it go. On top of that, like, the other thing is, and I'm kind of interested to see how it plays out, is the fact that how, the lawsuit with Android/Google is going to go for the Epic one. Because I think that will also dictate how a lot of stuff goes here in America. But I think that this is a move in the right direction, because Sony's been getting too big for their britches. Don't get me wrong. I play my PlayStation religiously, but I think that, with them complaining that Microsoft is very anti-consumer with how they acquired Activision, and like, what was it, a month or two later, a couple months ago, they turn around and acquire Bungie. And all these small studios that have like one-hit wonders, basically, because Bungie is only known for Destiny now, because they sold Halo to freaking Microsoft. But at the end of the day, I think that it's not really fair to the consumer to basically curtail you from being able to go out and purchase said codes from stores that might be able to offer you discounted rates. And I'm telling you, you have to go to the Sony store in order to buy it. We're going to see how this goes. I think that Sony's definitely going to spend a ton of money trying to block this. But if they end up winning in London, which I know over in Europe, a lot of those courts are much more consumer friendly, and they like to protect gamers from themselves. Hence why a lot of loot boxes and stuff like that have been removed from games. Thank you, Europe. Anyways, guys, that's my 2 cents. Hopefully, us guys here in America can get a cut of that $7.9 billion over there, because I know all you chums ain't going to spend it all. Anyways, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you later. Bye.